Hello and welcome to the Intentional Brief, your weekly video update on the one big thing in cybersecurity for middle market companies, their management teams, and investors. I'm your host, Shay Colson, managing partner at Intentional Cybersecurity, and you can find us online at intentionalcyber.com. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, and I hope that everyone is easing gingerly into things coming off of the Memorial Day holiday here in the US and the spring bank holiday in the UK. Canada had their May long the weekend prior for Victoria Day, so everyone should be good and refreshed. And in a surprising turn for this show, we've got some good news for the blue team, for the defenders, news of threat actors being arrested and infrastructure taken down. And I think it's worth covering here for a number of reasons. First, we saw an article late last week that a U.S. teenager has agreed to plead guilty to the PowerSchool hack from late last year. According to reporting from TechCrunch, Matthew D. Lane, 19, is accused of using stolen login credentials to access the network of an unnamed software company which serves schools across North America and elsewhere to steal the personal information of more than 60 million students and 10 million teachers. Quote, prosecutors say Lane worked with an unnamed co-conspirator who lived in Illinois to extort the education software maker for about $2.85 million in cryptocurrency, according to the criminal complaint, unquote. And so while it is absolutely a win that this person has been found, arrested, charged, and looks like will take a plea deal and forfeit their ill-gotten gains, it's still wild to me that a single teenager or a teenager working with one other co-conspirator can wreak this type of havoc on a company this large. I think it just goes to illustrate the challenges in proportionality of both defending and understanding attackers in this day and age. But the DOJ wasn't done with just one announcement last week. We also saw, in conjunction with partners at the Digital Crime Unit at Microsoft and the EU, as well as Japan, the infrastructure for the Luma C2 malware get taken down by the DOJ and the FBI. Microsoft's announcement noted that, quote, between March 16, 2025 and May 16, 2025, Microsoft identified over 394,000 Windows computers globally infected by the Luma malware. Working with law enforcement and industry partners, we have severed communications between malicious tool and victims. Moreover, more than 1,300 domains seized by or transferred to Microsoft, including 300 domains actioned by law enforcement, will be redirected to Microsoft sinkholes. This will allow Microsoft's DCU to provide actionable intelligence to continue to harden the security of the company's services and help protect online users. These insights will also assist public and private sector partners as they continue to track, investigate, and remediate this threat. Microsoft closed their announcement with this piece. This joint action is designed to slow the speed at which the threat actors can launch their attacks, minimize the effectiveness of their campaigns, and hinder their illicit profits by cutting a major revenue stream, unquote. Again, this is without question a win for the defenders and proof that we can fight back against these types of attacks and attackers. That said, details on how this takedown happened are light from the DOJ, and at least one blog has called out statements from the Luma crew noting that this takedown was actually more of a hack back, where the governments involved managed to exploit a vulnerability on the server hosting the Luma infrastructure, wipe the backups, wipe the server, and then set up a phishing page to capture credentials and IPs of those trying to log in to resolve the issue. So, as always, there's more than meets the eye here, and we don't get as much clarity into the operational details for understandable reasons, but these takedowns aren't always as neat and tidy as the DOJ press releases would like us to believe. Luma, it also should be said, notes in these same posts that they are still active, have migrated to new portals, and will continue to operate. So this type of action on behalf of the government is still worth supporting, as it, I think, both deters and disrupts the threat actors. Unfortunately, it isn't always foolproof or 100% effective, and we also saw reporting today that most of the regional leaders at CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency in the US, have either already left or will leave by the end of this month during a critical time for both this agency and its function. Still, I think we should take the wins where we can get them and keep the pressure up on threat actors. Without it, they're going to continue to run rampant, and we will all pay the price. So we will put some W's on the board and take them heading into the end of May and start of June. From a fundraising perspective this week, we saw more modest numbers coming in at just about $6.6 billion in total new capital committed, which is still a tremendous amount, right? We're averaging about $1 billion a day in newly committed capital. That's fantastic. We see several funds announcing new amounts over $1 billion, and I think it's fair to assume that things will continue to tick back up here as we move into June and close out the quarter, before then slowing as we head into the 4th of July holiday in the US and vacation season into August and through the Labor Day holiday. But we may be surprised, so let's continue to watch this space. A reminder that you can find links to other articles we covered below in the comments section. You can find back issues and written transcripts of these videos at intentionalcyber.com, and we will see you next week for another edition of the Intentional Brief.